Welcome back to the Knights Book Club podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is my sister, Kylie Knight. Yes, we are here for our fourth installment of the Stillhouse Lake series, written by Rachel Caine. This book is called Bitter Falls. Date published January 21st, 2020. You guys have heard the author's background a few times. So we'll kind of just glance over it real quick. Kylie, if you would like to do the honors.
Rachel has a bachelor's degree from Texas Tech.
She does.
She minored in music. She was also a professional musician, and she played with Henry Mancini, right?
Yep.
I can never get his name right.
Mancini. Peter
Nero and the God Amongst Men.
Yes.
John Williams.
Yes,
love that man.
John Williams, absolutely.
Do you want me to say
Yeah,
that?
we do know that, unfortunately, Rachel Caine, at this time, this is the fourth time we brought it up, and it's just morbid every time and very sad.
Yeah.
But we do know that, she was diagnosed with a soft tissue cancer, sarcoma, and unfortunately, she did pass away on November 1st, 2020.
We're just paying our respects every time we say
paying our respects every time.
And it's important to say to me.
It is. It absolutely is. Because, she was a really good author, and these books, a lot of people really enjoy these books.
I love them.
Which is a big reason why we're reviewing them on the Knights Book Club. And before we jump into everything else, guys, you can find our podcast literally everywhere. And if you like Audible, what's really cool about Audible is you can also find our podcast on Audible. Just type in Knights Book Club. Please go and give us a 5-star review. It really does help this podcast grow quite a bit. We're just two siblings here. We love listening and reading books. And we review each and every week here. You can find our YouTube channel as well. Smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel. This is a book club, so we'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with us on our reviews? Do you disagree with us? Just give us some of the reasons why. We love the engagement, so always be sure to comment below. So the page count for this book is 336 pages, which is typical for this in this series, with a runtime on Audible about 11 hours and 33 minutes. The genre is a thriller, mystery, and suspense. And if you don't know, now you know. Here comes the dramatic synopsis. She's investigating a cold case no one else could, by going places no one else would dare. In spite of a harrowing past still haunting her, Gwen Proctor is trying to move forward until a new assignment gives her purpose. The cold case disappearance of a young man in Tennessee. 3 years missing and no clues. Just Ruth Landry, a tortured mother in limbo. Gwen understands what it's like to worry about her children. Gwen's investigation unearths new suspects and victims. As she follows each sinister lead, the implications of a mystery grows more disturbing. Because the closer Gwen gets, the closer she is to a threat that looms back home. In a town that's closed its ranks against Gwen, her partner Sam, and her kids, there's no bolder enemy than the Bellendine family. Paramilitary, criminal, powerful, and vengeful. As personal vendettas collide with Gwen's investigation, she's prepared to fight both battles. But is she prepared for the toll it'll take on everyone she loves? Yes, so again, the fourth installment of this book. Okay, Kylie, you had asked me specifically, I got to be honest here. This book, out of the 5 books that we are reviewing, actually was my favorite book of this installment.
Yeah.
But in the first couple of chapters, I almost turned it off. And really? I almost said, I don't know if I can continue this. So let's talk about the prologue, and then I'll tell you this one huge gripe I had about this book, where I was rolling my eyes so much I became dizzy just from looking everywhere and rolling my eye. I couldn't help it. It was like this tick that I had that just kept going and going because I was like, oh, give me a break.
Okay.
But
before you start, I don't even know what you're going to say because I honestly kind of forgot about this book because I started a new one and I'm on the second one of this new series that we're about to do, so I have no idea what you're about to say.
Oh, I know. And I guarantee 99.9% of people, if you have read this book, you will probably agree with where I'm going to go. It was just so out in left field that I'm like, oh my gosh. I was literally at work listening to this and just like constantly face palming.
Did
like,
you tell Dad about it?
This is so dumb. Oh yeah, and I text Jimmy and like told him about it, and he was like, yeah, dude, sometimes thrillers do that where he's like, it's just so outlandish. But I will get into that. You guys will hear that from me but that was really the only complaint I had about this book. And as I said before, this was my favorite installment of this series. And I actually enjoyed this book the most. So let's jump right into it, Mikaylee. Bitter Falls by Rachel Caine. Obviously, as we know, this is the 4th installment. And the prologue in this book opens up with this man who seems to be in a cage. There's a religious cult theme going on. Mm-hmm. He's hearing music in the background, this angelic singing. And this Father Tom, who we find out later, they take this man out of the cage and they say, you will become a saint. We will baptize you. And then, you're free. You'll be living a new life, right? This religious terminology that they use so often. And just a little side note on this for Rachel Caine. Some people have a problem when authors do that, but I didn't feel like this was a bad reflection on like Christianity or religion. It was just more of the context of her showing how people can drastically misconstrue. And this was like very cultish. So you could see where she was going. It wasn't like all Christianity is bad. It was like, no, this is like the far ideology. Extreme. And, like Sam brings that up in the book too. He goes, you guys are just ISIS with a Bible, basically. Yeah. Because these people are like murdering people and sacrificing. We'll get into it a little bit more. But the prologue, we hear this guy and he's like really desperate. And he's like, hey, I just want to get this over with. I've been in this cage. It's cold. I just want to get this done so I can move on. Maybe I will go to the cops. Maybe I won't go to the cops. But like, I just want to get out of here. So he's kind of having this inner monologue. He hears this singing. They say he's going to become a saint. And then Father Tom takes him to the river. And he says that he gets dumped and baptized in this water. And he's like, and he comes back up and he's shivering. And he's like so relieved for it to be over so he can finally move on with his life because this crazy cult captured him. Yeah. And, he's just very like, I want to get the heck out of here, right? But what this individual comes to find out, very unfortunate for him, is there are also 2 men that he sees appear in the water with Father Tom. Yep. And they strap some chains around him with some cinder blocks and some heavy weights. And unfortunately, when they call him a saint, they mean that, he will be martyred. And they drowned him. Yeah. And he says the last thing that he remembers is his mother. He sees his mother before he dies. Yeah. So I got to be honest here, though. The prologue, this is my favorite prologue. This prologue was
crazy.
It was really good. It was the best prologue for this series as well because instantly you're grasped. You're like, whoa, okay, like I'm excited for this. This really grabs my attention. So we get all that. And then, so here's a problem that I had. So Connor is now like 15. Lanny is like 17, 16, I think at this point, pretty close to that. Yeah. But this was the one thing that I had the biggest problem with this book. So it opens up. I'm really excited about the prologue. I'm like, hey, cool, a cult-like book. Like, this will be fun, right? And then Connor is like waking up. He doesn't look good. And his mom's like, well, you have to go to school. We have to start a normal life, right? Again, because they're still dealing with internet trolls, people who want to harm the family, people who want to do terrible things, even after all the evidence has been out that Gwen is not responsible for any of this, but people be crazy. Yep. So Connor doesn't want to go to school, and Gwen doesn't really put 2 and 2 together. She says, you got to go, and Connor begrudgingly kind of agrees and goes, okay, I guess I'll go to school. So Gwen gets a phone call, right? Connor... Whoa, it's a situation. And then Gwen's freaking out. What happened? He's at the hospital. I'm freaking out. And they're like, well, we need to talk to you. So I guess this school, and let me tell you something. If this school were a real thing in real life, I would sue the living pants off this school district. I would sue them into oblivion. That everyone associated with this decision making would be on a grand trial, and child abuse times 10 to the max. This is the biggest problem I had with the book because it's so unbelievable. I could not see any school district, public school district, ever doing this. And if they did, everyone should be fired and tried for child abuse.
Every single parent.
So this is what happens. So you guys are probably confused. You're like, hey, what's going on? Why are you so freaking out? If you haven't read the book. So it opens up and we get the perspective of Connor. So this school thinks it's a good idea to have 6 active shooter drills. Now, a year. Now, and this is the 6th one thus far this year. So we don't even know how far the school is within the calendar school year. And this is their 6th one. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with that, but what really irritates me is this school, this is their 6th one, and the district decided to up the old ante. Hey, let's really, now that the kids have some practice, let's put over the speakers live firing.
And screaming.
Well, the children were screaming. The entire school and all the children in this school thought there was an actual shooter at the school because they played live firing rounds, like real gunshots, like over the speaker.
Yeah.
So these kids are panicking. They're freaking out. They're all traumatized. And they're like locking the doors and everyone thinks it's real, even the kids. And obviously Connor dealing with this horrible life that he has already lived, traumatic PTSD with his father being a serial killer.
Well, that in the past book, we didn't bring it up in our last review. He was literally caught in gunfire. With Sam.
Yes.
In what was the last book we just did?
That would be Wolf Hunter. Yes. Yeah. So all of this, and this school says, yeah, we're going to up the ante. We think it's a good idea. They've had enough practice, so let's really scare the pants off these kids. Ha ha. Okay. This is where it was so unbelievable for me and so frustrating in the beginning of this book that I almost didn't finish it. I'm glad I did because it ended up being my favorite. But this is the one glaring thing I have to talk about. So Connor, obviously PTSD field. Everyone thinks there's an actual active shooter on the premise, and the 2 bullies that have been bullying Connor, because that's a common theme. They find out who Connor's dad is, and then they think that gives them the right to bully the kid, even though obviously the kid had nothing to do with his dad. But people are miserable in this book. They're awful people. A lot of people are just really bad. So these bullies grab him and like shake him and try to pull him back. And Connor's freaking out. He's got PTSD, and he smacks one of them in the face with a staple. Okay, and I guess, bloody nose, black eye, and then the bullies beat him up. Okay, and then literally like after 5 minutes of like chaos and panic, the school goes over, this was just a drill. There's actually not an active shooter in the school. Thanks. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? If I was at that school, I'd be so mad as a student. Like, why would you put everyone? Because the book describes that there's like girls in the corner, like crying. There's boys in the corner crying hysterically. These kids think that their life could potentially end because there's an active shooter. And then they say over the intercom, oh, by the way, just another drill.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your day at school, kids. Imagine walking into that on a Monday and having to be at school the rest of the week. If that happened, which should never happen, at least make that on a Friday so I can take a weekend off, a buffer.
Decompress.
Yeah. So this is where it gets really even more irritating for me. So the kid that Connor hit, his parents come in. They're not mad at the school district.
Didn't he break one of their jaws?
Yeah, he broke their jaw, yeah. With the staple gun or whatever that he hit him with. Understandable. These parents aren't mad at the school district at all.
No.
As if it's another day at school, like, yeah, let's play. No parent in this district is upset at the fact that they did not warn these children ahead of time that they would be playing live gunfire during this whole thing. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on it, but oh my God, I got to get it out because I got to talk to someone about it. These parents weren't mad at all. They come in and they start yelling at Gwen, I'm going to sue you. You're going to pay for the medical bills. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And I'm thinking, why are you, I get it. Your kid's jaw's broke, but like, do you understand none of that would have happened if the school district did not do something sadistic and traumatic to all the students in the school?
Yeah.
Why are you taking your anger out on Gwen? I just thought it was so unbelievable. I don't think there's any parent alive who would, obviously be concerned that their kid's jaw's broke. I get that. but not immediately be like, I'm going to sue this district for everything it is worth. I'm going to sue the state. I'm going to literally destroy the school district and fire everyone from the top down. Because this is the worst decision making I have ever heard of in any school district in the history of the United States. Mm-hmm. What a dumb thing to do, right?
It's just, I couldn't even imagine being in that situation.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, long story short, I spent 10 minutes
This was literally the first chapter.
Yeah, this is the first chapter. We'll get into the book, but I had to get that out because the parents are freaking out and they're mad. And then this is kind of where they decide, Gwen, Connor, and Lanny, they kind of decide, all right, we got to do homeschooling for a little bit. Things are getting a little too wild. We got old Connor over here,
with severe
PTSD at this point, and who's completely traumatized. If I was Gwen, I would have sued the school district, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, same.
But it is a book, and this obviously is not nonfiction. So Gwen takes. So then we find out that Gwen is taking this case because this nonprofit group came to her boss, and now Gwen is a private investigator. So that's kind of cool. So,
and she has her concealed carry now, finally.
Yeah, she does. And this was kind of, remember we talked about book 3 kind of being that buffer into book 4 and 5. And, she's a PI. She's got her concealed carry. She's got even a work gun, which is pretty fun. Never had a work gun before. So she's investigating, and we find out that, she had just caught this rich guy who brought, this 12-year-old to a motel. She called the cops, and he got captured. So we're kind of starting to realize that she is working now for this business who does private investigating.
Yeah.
And long story short, she takes this case for Remy Laundrie, who was a young man who went missing in Knoxville, Tennessee 3 years ago. Yeah. Now, he went missing 3 years ago, but he was just out at the bar with his friends, just having a good time. And then they were bar hopping, and he kind of got lost in the mix. And then his friends, no one, anything ever heard from him again. He didn't take his car, didn't take really any belongings. I guess he had a little backpack on, and it's a complete cold case, right?
Yeah.
But this nonprofit is really interested in trying to find it, what Gwen believes to be, to kind of give peace for the mom who has been living at her son's apartment for 3 years. Now, Gwen goes and visits the mom to kind of talk about, anything helps. Can I walk around the apartment? And the mom has literally kept everything the same.
This was so weird to me.
This was weird weird, but also very, very sad for this mother.
No. Yeah.
Of course, but very sad for the mom because, she even said that she walked in, it was time stopped for 3 years in this apartment. Because
his
even
shoes were the
same. Even the sweatshirt on the back of the chair was the same. The mom did not touch anything in his apartment for just that chance that he would come back.
Bro, no. When she told Gwen about the cookies and how she would open the window and set the cookies out and just hope that the smell would entice him to come back, yeah. I'm not going to lie. I got choked up. I was like, that is so sad. Could you imagine your only child? Oh, yeah.
No, it's really sad. And then obviously because of the missing college student, he had just turned 18, so no one really cared, which is really sad too. But the parents got a divorce as well. So this mother's life completely fell apart after her child just vanished one day. And I say child, technically he's 18, but 18 is still a child.
Well, because she lives at his apartment now, doesn't she?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And then Gwen went to go talk to the dad.
Yep.
Your turn. You explain things better than I do. I just throw my tidbits in there.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, she also talks to the dad, and his dad gives him some information about a girl that he was dating.
Oh.
Remember? The girl that she was dating, or he was dating, excuse me. And come to find out, there's some very weird things about this girl that he didn't like very much. She lived in a different state. Some things got a little fuzzy, and then out of nowhere, he just disappears. So further investigation leads her to Father Tom in the assembly, which threatens, kills, and enslaves women in their clutches. This starts getting really crazy because we start to find out that this cult leader essentially takes in very, very young girls, and they're all his brides. And they so grossly misinterpret the Bible and the scriptures that it's to a point where it's like, oh, geez. Like they're bringing up like 1 Timothy, whatever, where it's like women be silent and submit to their husbands. And this Father Tom has got a very misconstrued ideology about the scriptures, saying that women, their whole purpose in life was to just serve men and reproduce and recreate.
Yeah.
Which is such a sick, misogynistic, awful interpretation of scripture that is obviously not true in any capacity. But yeah, so Father Tom, really creepy guy, doing all this weird stuff, capturing girls, and Gwen's on the case now, trying to figure out, okay, what actually is going on here? There's a lot of missing people. What were your thoughts when she started investigating Father Tom and stuff, Mikaylee?
I was severely grossed out. Every single interaction that she had with him, or every time she would investigate him, I was grossed out. I was like, this man, and it also irritated me, not the writing or the storyline, but like the way that he interpreted the Bible. Like I was just picturing myself as somebody seeing me like that. That's how I saw it. I was like, imagine a guy that I was dating was like, oh, you must be submissive and you must be basically a brood mare.
Right, because, hey, keep in mind, God took a rib from Adam. So you belong to me. You're my property.
Yeah,
okay?
And I was putting myself in like the position of the people in their shoes, and I was like, imagine me not being able to speak my mind. No, thanks.
And that's why I actually really enjoyed this book a lot, because it did give you kind of like reminiscence of like Jim Jones and stuff, and don't drink the Kool-Aid, cults that turned pretty crazy. But this idea too that a lot of these young girls that were in this cult had no idea, because they were brought in. They were either born into it or taken at such a young age that you're not able to fully understand what is going on, so you just think it's normal,
and you're able to brainwash easier.
Exactly. And what's really sick about it too is in the book, like, and we can kind of jump around a little bit, but eventually at one point Connor's there, he's captured with Sam, and he kind of has this, I don't want to say relationship, but he's kind of talking to this girl, and she's 12. She is 12, and she is a bride of Father Tom. And it's because she's old enough to be a bride, because of obviously, when you hit your cycle, I don't need to get into all that, but when you hit your cycle, that's when, according to Father Tom, you're old enough to be married off, which is a very archaic view and disgusting. So so we get into all that. Connor is captured at this point with Sam. And I don't know. It's a really good book. I actually enjoyed this book quite a bit, Mikaylee.
Yeah, this one was my favorite.
Yeah, this one was definitely really, really good. I just, man.
It just reminded me a lot of Waco. Like the very end during like the rescue or whatever of Sam. I was like, holy crap, this reminds me so much of Waco. There was something else that I wanted to say, but I forgot. Oh, but when Connor gets okay, sorry, I'm stuttering.
No, that's okay.
So were they trying to capture Lanny when they showed up to the house at Stillhouse Lake? And then they ended up taking
taking Connor because he stepped in the way, and then Sam chased down the RV and then captured.
Oh,
and got captured as well.
This was the book where Connor called Sam Dad for the first time.
It is, yes.
I was like, yeah, buddy. Sam's such a better father figure than Melvin. But that made me like way too happy. I got way too attached to these characters.
Remember the whole concept too that, and this is kind of where book 3 and 4 tie in quite a bit, because this cult was initially in Wolf Hunter, the area, and then they moved their cult to have a bigger cult in
that was
Bitter Falls.
Crazy.
Yeah, so they had grown so much. Business is a booming, as they say, I guess, for Father Tom. But they ended up moving to Bitter Falls and really built this crazy compound to not necessarily keep people out, but to keep people in. And kind of had some reminiscence of the old Scientology as well. because they also build those kind of infrastructures, not to keep people out, but to keep them in.
Well, when they went to that abandoned area,
yeah,
and there was like that one giant king size bed in that room, and then everywhere else was just
those tiny little beds.
I mean, I know this is going to sound dramatic, but I'm not trying to be dramatic. I literally got sick to my stomach when they were explaining the layout of that old area. Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me, dude?
Well, and then it kind of paints a picture without telling you outright, obviously, what Father Tom was doing with that massive bed. Because this sick individual cannot just only, what's the word I'm looking for, justify having so many brides and so many young, clearly children brides, but then to insinuate with a giant king-size bed what he was doing with multiple at one time, right? As well. So it's really disgusting to get into Father Tom's mindset. And then, obviously Sam goes through a crazy journey in this, Sam Cade, where it's like he goes to the compound, Father Tom's like tormenting him. And that one scene where he puts a knife to his gut.
Yeah.
And he's telling him, all these sick things, and Sam's just waiting for the mask to fall off. And he says he just sees a little glimmer of the true evil Father Tom is.
Yeah.
And remember, the day of reckoning is here.
Oh, so, and the loudspeakers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this whole time, like, Father Tom has been preaching that this day of reckoning is going to come and that we're all going to die for God's glory. The
saints are protecting us, which basically means everybody that we've previously murdered.
All the bones in the pond are protecting us and the bloated bodies.
Oh, and then they were talking about the stench that was coming off the falls.
That's why they had to move from
the old compound.
Wolf Hunter. Yes, because the stench of all the decaying bodies in the lake was too much, so they had to move compounds. That's how many people they sacrificed. And that's the thing, too, with this cult, is you can either have one of two things. You are either a saint or a brother.
Yeah.
That comes into play later, and actually very clever writing, because I did not see this. Because I had almost forgot about Lenny. Remember, he was the kid who initially...
You mean Remy?
Or Remy.
I thought you said Lenny.
I did say Lenny. I meant Remy.
I thought you were talking about Lanny.
No. But Remy, I forgot his name.
I completely forgot about Remy.
But I totally forgot about him. But it comes to find out that in this mist of chaos, when they are escaping, and what's awesome about this too is that there were females of this cult who wanted out, and they were waiting for the day of reckoning to escape, because Father Tom, in his sick, demented mind, was going to blow up all the women and children in a building.
Yep.
And luckily they had the wherewithal to plan this for a very long time to escape
the main
this
wife,
mass suicide.
Or what did they call her?
Mother, the lead mother.
Yeah,
something like
whatever, that. Yeah. She was the one. I knew from the second that she was introduced that she was like, when she first met Connor, I knew. I was like, she doesn't want to be here. She wants out. You could just tell by the way. And it wasn't like a clear writing, like where anybody could guess
little
it.
Subtle hints.
Subtle. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, subtle hints for sure. But, they end up doing this whole escape thing, and Sam's about ready to blow this dude's head off. And they go, whoa, he's with us. And then it's revealed, oh my gosh, this is Remy. He's been missing for 3 years, but because you either turn into a saint and get sacrificed and become a martyr, or you become a brother and then you join the cult, but they do not let you escape. No. And he didn't want all of these other women to have to sit in this cult and, die. Because
maybe I'm going to have to go listen to the prologue again, because I swear they tied him down.
That wasn't Remy, though. That was a different individual.
I thought that was Remy.
No. It wasn't the kid that was... No, it wasn't the kid that was missing for 3 years.
I thought it was Remy.
No, because at the end of the book, he gets reunited with his mom.
No, I know that. And that's why I was confused, and that's why... That's literally... Oh. No, that's why when I was on Goodreads, I rated this book 3 stars, because I was like, how is he alive?
No.
Because at the beginning, and then we go in to find out that this kid named Remy is missing, and then when I got to the end of the book, I was like, how is he alive? I literally thought they sacrificed him in the prologue.
2 different people. Well, keep in mind, this cult...
That's confusing.
Sacrificed a lot of people.
Well, true.
So. It is what it is. And I don't think she would. I don't think she would literally just tell you.
I was like,
he's
did
dead,
you forget about this character?
And then he came back. But no. Anyway,
I'm gonna have to go re-rate it on Goodreads.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But anyway, it's discovered it's Remy, and then they escape. But Sam's in bad state because Gwen and Javier had to get their scuba diving gear on and save him because he was in the process of getting, sainted, which you never want to get sainted in this.
Well, and during all of this, so when she's like saving Sam from the river, can we talk about Connor and V?
Sure.
Literally the coolest, like, I loved this book because the writing, I could picture everything that was happening in my head. So basically when the alarms went off and, it's like, think of like a literal compound and then there's like these microphones and stuff and this alarm's going off and Father Tom is like, oh, we're gonna blah, 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 the day of reckoning, whatever. So Connor he's
just so lazy at this point. That's all he does. Oh, the day of reckoning. I was like, yes, the day of reckoning. He's like, all right, whatever. Let's just kill ourselves.
So Connor is in like this garden area with all of the women. And Mother, I was going to call her Mother Teresa.
No, it's not. A little too on the nose for that, for Mother Teresa.
Whatever, the main bride. She is like, can you explain it? You do it so much better than I do.
What would you like for me to explain?
Explain what Connor and V did with all of the women.
They got him out of the cult because they were all going to be locked in.
They were like fighting.
They were fighting with like
stabbing.
So basically they collected a bunch of silverware over the course of time where it wasn't noticeable, and then they fought with forks and knives and were stabbing the guys with guns and whatnot and all the crazy cult leaders.
Explain why V is there because I didn't like V the last book, but this book she really stepped up to the plate.
Well, V was there unbeknownst to Gwen, who refused to have her go and said, no, you're not going. We're not going to sacrifice you like that. But V knew. She goes, look, I've been around perverts before. I know this Father Tom guy. He likes young women. And I just so happen to be
part of it, wasn't
not
she?
Even a young woman, a young girl. What?
Wasn't her mom part of it?
Yeah, her mom was initially a part of it. Yeah. And V goes, yeah, I know this guy likes, little girls. He's a sicko. So let me go by myself. And then I'm going to just devise a plan to try to help get these people out of here.
And she stole
That's
a
essentially
truck
what she does.
She
stole a truck. She hot rodded a truck, or hot wired, I should say. Yeah, no, V's a little savage.
And so she basically snuck into the camp. Even though it wasn't sneaking in, but she was like, my mom told me about it, blah, blah, blah. And so they brought her to like the garden. Where the women sleep, it's like called the garden something. But so she goes in there and Connor like recognizes her. But shout out to him though. He played it off so well. And then they went to the bathroom and the mother lady was like, do you guys know each other? Blah, blah. And so they like devised this plan and they're like trying to save all the women and stuff. I was like, wow, I can't believe Father Tom was going to murder all of the women and children.
Yeah, but that's what you do when you're a cult leader. It's all or nothing, And then you can go down to the history books. I don't know.
I don't know what. Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But nonetheless, pretty happy ending. I mean, Sam's a little messed up. You could say that. Been stabbed a couple times. Almost drowned. Hypothermia, just a litany of a lot of just terrible things.
I loved the writing though when she was like, when Gwen was going down to save him, because she was like, she like rescued him, put the mouthpiece in him and stuff, and then brought him back up, and she's like, she was freaking out about Sam, but she was also like, is Connor down here? Yeah. That the writing during that scene. The whole pond scene was so well done that I could feel her anxiety, even though I knew Connor obviously wasn't in there.
Okay, yeah.
But the writing was so well done that it even convinced me, like, oh, he might be down there.
Well, lucky for her, he was not. He was actually just saving a bunch of women.
Yeah.
Which was great because the end of the book, Connor becomes the new husband to all the women he saved. I'm just kidding. Of course I'm kidding. But I had to make the joke. It was just right there. I couldn't not
a good
do
one.
it. But no, yeah, they are very grateful. And heck, Connor wasn't the one who saved them. They saved themselves. They did a lot of stabbing. So,
Stabby.
Stabby. Those people deserved it. I don't, no funeral for you. No sympathy for me.
So when Connor first gets there, he like goes to this dinner thing with everybody like in the hall. And he tries to like discreetly put like a silverware up his sleeve. Oh, my heart was pounding during this because then Father Tom was like, put it back, Connor. And I was like, is he going to get punished? That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. What is Father Tom going to do? Bend him over his knee and spank him?
Or chain him up? Shut up.
Sorry, dude. It's just this Father Tom's such a pervert. You never know what he's going to do.
I thought they were going to like chain him up to a tree or something or whip him.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, these people are crazy. You never know what they're going to do.
Remember, Father Tom basically threatened him the whole time and was like, if you continue this, you're just going to have to be sainted. And that sounds like a promotion in most cases.
It really does.
But it's not a promotion here. It is a death sentence.
Well,
and a terrible way to die.
Oh, explain when the girl that Connor was talking to was like, meet me out here.
Meet me outside. Or catch me outside.
Meet me at the falls.
Well, yeah. And then, long story short, Connor goes out to this girl that's roughly about his age. And, Connor finds her pretty, whatever, yada, yada. And he walks out and then they kiss. And then Father Tom's in the corner doing God knows what. Yeah. Let's not get into detail. No, I'm just joking. And then walks up and he does his weird, like, little culty thing. He's like, yeah, do you like my bride? She's yours now.
I saved her for you.
I know. I imagine him, like, 12. Instead of, like, a black robe, like Darth Sidious, it's just, like, a white, like, father robe. And he's like, like, really creepily in the corner.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You can edit it out. The whole time they were talking about Father Tom, all I could think of was the Pope.
Yeah. You don't have to edit that out. I mean, Catholic Church is known for for a lot of it, actually. Thousands of cases that have not been handled properly, I could say. And you know what? You can call it out.
Oh, and this whole time that Connor is sleeping like in this big bunk area with all of the other men, Sam is literally in a shed.
Yeah. Well, they don't take too kindly. Father Tom, he goes, anything older than 16, disgusting. So,
Sam
if you're an adult,
shackled.
You're in the shed.
He was shackled in a shed.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, Father Tom, awful. So let's talk about this. Obviously, the book ends. Thank God, Father Tom dies. He deserves to die and all the weird...
She didn't kill him because that's what he wanted.
Oh, that's right. That's what he wanted. Yeah. He doesn't die, but I mean, his colt's dead, so that's good.
Well, he's dead inside.
He's arrested and sucks for him, but he'll be in prison for the rest of his life. Hopefully gets a death sentence, but we'll see. But yeah, long story short, the book ends. And Mikhaili, let's get into our rating of the book. I guess I'll go first. So my last book was like 3.5 overall. I actually like this one. This was my favorite book in the series. Therefore, narration, I'm going to give 4.5, 5 stars. Story, let's go with 4 stars. And then overall, 4 stars for this book. I did enjoy this one quite a bit.
Story, probably 4 stars. Narration, 5 stars. I love the narration for this book. I thought it was so well done. Overall, probably 4.
All right.
4.5. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, that is our review for the 4th installment of Rachel Caine Stillhouse Lake series, Bitter Falls. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop book reviews here every single week. Yep. Find our podcast anywhere you get your podcast, including Audible. If you guys like to listen to audiobooks, go check out Audible and be sure to type in Knight's Book Club and get all the latest reviews from us. You can find our podcast there. Please be sure to give us a 5-star review. It really does help. We're just 2 siblings who really enjoy listening and reading books and talking about them on this podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is my sister, Mikhaili Knight. Hey. Until next time.
Bye.